Hi guys, Olive here today to share my experience about how I finally got into ebooks. If you've been following this channel for a while, you may know that a few years back, I was really struggling to get into ebooks. I had an e-reader, I would get ebooks on sale, I would get them from my library, and then I would just never read them. The main thing you'll hear from readers when you're discussing any kind of a transition from physical copies to ebooks is this real reluctance to give up the experience of reading a physical book. And that was me too. There's just nothing like holding a book in your hands. Also, for a really long time when I was trying to get into ebooks, it was almost like my brain wasn't registering the fact that I was actually reading a book for some reason because I was looking at a screen. It was translating in my mind as, oh, this is just a really long form article, if you know what I mean. But over the past year or so, something just clicked, and I would almost rather read an ebook versus any other format. So what precipitated that huge change? Well, practice. Lots and lots of practice. Practice in the form of NetGalley titles. If you're not familiar, NetGalley is a website where you can request advanced reader copies, also known as ARCs, or galleys, of course, for review. A good number of the books that I review, like written reviews, come from NetGalley. When you're approved by a publisher to get an ARC of the book you requested, you're then given a link where you can download a protected e-copy of that ARC. You can then read it on a computer, or you can have it sent to any kind of a device that supports the Kindle app. I have and probably always will hate reading on a computer. So after my Nook completely died, I decided to invest in a Kindle. This is my Fire HD 8 tablet. I have this nice yellow case on it that's definitely showing some signs of wear. This thing has definitely been loved. This is not an ad or a sponsored video in any way. I just thought you might be interested to see what I use. But I have all the e-ARCs that I get off of NetGalley delivered directly to this device. I can start them immediately, or I can wait until we get closer to publication dates, whatever my needs are, but I really love reading on here. I can highlight passages that I think are really important, that I really like, or that I might want to use in my review. I can look up words in the dictionary if I didn't know a word. I can look up words in foreign languages if they're included in the text. I can Google different concepts directly from the book, highlight them and Google them directly from the book, so I can make sure I have a full understanding of that topic before moving forward. You can also write notes in here, which was pretty much the game changer for me, because the way I write reviews, I don't know if this is weird or not, because I've never really talked to any other written reviewers about their process, but as I'm reading, I have basically lines of the review pop up in my head, or I have specific words that I know I want to include in my review. So sometimes if a specific passage makes me think of a line I want to use, I'll highlight that whole passage and then attach a note to it. Or if I'm just having a random thought that I would like to include in the review, then I'll highlight a random word and just include that. And then when I'm done with the book, I can pull up all of those notes, I can type those into a Google Doc, I can rearrange them, and then just fill in all the gaps. And it makes things so easy for me. So what I'm getting at by talking about my reviewing process is that there are tools available for you to use while you're e-reading that are very hard to go without once you start using them. Like when I get physical copies, physical ARCs of books that I'm supposed to be reviewing, it is now 10 times harder to write a review now that I'm used to those tools on the e-reader. I'm dog-earing pages, I'm writing notes in the margins furiously, trying to find space to fit everything in. On one book that I reviewed last month, I was starting to write my review on the title pages. It's a mess. So now when I get approached to review something, I would almost rather have the e-copy because it's easier for me, which is the complete opposite of what it used to be. And I'm noticing that it's actually bleeding into my regular reading life, because I don't just like to look things up or write notes to myself when I'm reviewing books. I like to keep notes anyway because I need that kind of stuff for my wrap up at the end of the month. So I'm being more and more drawn toward digital copies. It's wild. Coming around to e-reading is almost something so simple as I have found a way to balance the e-reader in my hand where it's really comfortable for me to read for hours on end. Because don't we all know the struggle of trying to find a comfortable position in which to read and hold a book without your arms falling asleep? I also don't talk about this much, but I do have a very minor eye condition where it makes it difficult for my eyes to focus on text for long periods of time. Obviously an issue for someone like me. And it also means that my eyes are extremely sensitive to light. But on my e-reader, I can adjust the settings to make reading easier on my eyes. I've started using the night mode where it has that dark background with the white text on top of it. It's been a game changer for me. It is so much more comfortable for me to read now. And if you also have eye problems or you don't like the font of a book, you can go in and change it. You can make it right for you. And that's not even mentioning the benefit of being able to house so many books in one small space. When we moved to this place, we had to generously tip our moving company that helped us move in because all of these are very heavy, and this isn't even all of my books. I can only bring so many physical books with me when I travel. Not the case with ebooks, and I also don't have an infinite amount of space in my home for these physical books. They're piling up everywhere. All of these parts add up to make the whole. It was not one thing that brought me around to ebooks. It was all of these things. It was the benefits, it was the tools, and it was the regular exposure. Practice, practice, practice. I wish I could tell you that there was some sort of a trick that you could use to get yourself used to reading ebooks. But like most things worth doing, it just takes time and patience. I know there are a lot of ebook deals out there, especially right now, and I know that a lot of libraries offer e-copies that you can check out. So give it a try. I can tell you that you will need to keep with it, and you will also need to use those tools that you have available to you so that you can see the benefits. And let me just say that by making friends with ebooks, you are not betraying physical books. As you see behind me, I gestured to these before. These are my physical books. I love them. I do not want to get rid of them. There is nothing that will take the place of reading a physical book. For me, ebooks always have been and always will be complementary products to physical books. They work together. They are not competitors. Because guess what's the first thing I want to do when I finish an ebook that I just love? That's right. I want to go directly out and buy a physical copy, which I cannot always do because of money and space reasons. But I don't want you to worry that if you take up ebooks, that you're somehow going to be subtracting a love of physical books from your life. Because if my experience is any kind of an example, it will only make you fall more in love with books of all kinds. I already anticipate some comments saying, you know, I've tried and I've tried to get into ebooks and it's just not working. I prefer physical books. I think that's the way it's always going to be. And I understand because that was me. That was me 2 years ago. And here I am now, cheerleading ebooks. It is not impossible, it just takes practice. If only because I'm really trying to go the extra mile to convince you here, let me also say that because e-reading makes reading easier for me, it makes it faster, it makes it easier on my eyes, I'm now reading more than I ever have before in my life, and I already read quite a bit. Considering how well videos do on BookTube that are titled How to Read More, I thought that might be a selling point. So that's been my experience with ebooks thus far. I would love to hear yours in the comment section below. Let me know what you like, what you don't like, and we'll talk. If you'd like to find me somewhere other than YouTube, I am on a variety of different places on social media, and the links to all of my profiles will be in the description box below. As always, thank you so much for watching. I hope you're having a wonderful day, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.